I'm Caitilin Studdert, the Chief Operating Officer here at ADAPTOVATE. I'm about to share with you an interview that we conducted last week with Jude, one of our senior female leaders here at ADAPTOVATE, as part of our Backstory series. And the idea behind the Backstory is that you get to see the very real people behind the human side of business transformations. To celebrate International Women's Day, Jude and I sat down and had a conversation about her and what's important to her, females that have inspired her, and the things that she loves about business transformations and advice she'd even give herself as a younger 10-year-old. So sit back and enjoy with a cup of tea in hand or coffee. It's a joy to be with you on the Backstory. Thank you.
Hi, Caitlin. I'm so excited to be here.
It's so wonderful to be here with you, Jude. I'm going to ask 10 questions, Jude, and leave you to take the floor.
Okay.
The first question is, can I ask, when did you join us? And can I ask you a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I'm a newbie. I only joined the ADAPTOVATE team about 9 months ago, even though, as you know, I first met you all about 4 years ago when I was a client and dealing with you on the other side of the fence. It was a great experience at the time, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here today. So my background is digital product. I was lucky enough to catch the digital wave right at the start of my career, working for big names like AOL Online, back when we were sending out those discs that you plugged in. I don't know if you remember those. So
I remember them well, Jude.
Since then, I've held roles at startups and big companies, but really always in the digital product space, and generally in the B2C space, answering the basic questions with my team. What do our customers want and how can we give it to them?
You've had an amazing career, Jude. You mentioned that we met previously. Were you looking for a new career direction when you joined us?
Good question. I have to say, it wasn't really something I'd considered until about a year ago. And the reason it sort of appealed and why I started to consider it, well, firstly, I had worked with you guys and I liked you. That's super basic, I know, but it's actually quite important to me. And also from a career perspective, over the years, I've kind of gained experience in all types of things, whether that's strategy or people management or problem solving. And I knew, or at least I assumed, that if I joined ADAPTOVATE, I'd have the chance to use all of them. And it feels, and I think I kind of am, and it feels good to kind of use everything in my toolbox. But I have to say I'm still learning a lot. I'm still putting things and new things in my toolbox because every day is a school day at ADAPTOVATE. And I guess at the heart of it, product management, which is where I've come from, is actually really similar to consulting. We come in, we use data and insights to really understand and diagnose the problem and the pain points, and then come up with like solutions to solve and improve the situation.
Jude, we're learning from you. It's remarkable to have you as part of our team. And I remember even when we were working together 4 years ago that I was learning from you then as well as now. And I think that's something brilliant about consulting is that when we're a partnership with our client, we both learn. And ideally, everybody's capability shifts and the outcome is achieved through that true collaboration. So what I cherished when we worked together 4 years ago is something I still hold really dearly now. So it's a real privilege to be working alongside you again, Jude. Would you say that your previous experience and career has really helped define where you are now? Would you have done anything differently, or do you feel comfy with how it's all turned out?
I think, I have no regrets at all. In fact, I feel incredibly grateful and fortunate to have been involved in the digital space, right from when it was kicking off, to have front row seats to one of the most impactful revolutions in history right from the start has just been absolutely phenomenal. You know, the digital revolution has been going, well, depending on who you speak to, has been going since, you know, 1993 or 1994, and it's just accelerating, showing no signs of stopping at all. And so the opportunities and the pathways that being that close to digital has given me has just been phenomenal. And I'm interested in all of it. Even now, I love data. I'd love to get more into the data world. It's, you know, the lifeblood of everything. I'm still really passionate about customer and design and thinking, because when it's done right, it's actually a no-brainer for the customer and the business. Like, why wouldn't you do things that way? And really, from a career perspective, you know, I studied maths at university, so I'm a bit of a nerd. So I love that kind of hardcore facts and you know, that kind of solidity of numbers and analytics. But then I also have quite a strong creative side as well, right? I like speaking to people, and I love, you know, creating visually beautiful and compelling experiences. So no regrets at all, Caitlin. I'm exactly where I should be. And as I said, I feel very grateful that, you know, I get to do the things that I love on a daily basis.
Jude, I love how you speak there about pace and about change and about opportunity that you've had career-wise. How do you balance what is so integral for you? You talked about solidity and fact-based, and yet you love the personal connection as well. One of the questions we ask everyone in the backstory is, how do you balance your work life with your real life? You've got a beautiful family. It's obviously very important to you. Tell us a little bit about your integration of work and life outside of ADAPTOVATE.
Okay, this is an interesting question. I'm not sure I'm going to give the most PC answer here, right? So I enjoy my work, as I've already said. So I've never really felt resentful for putting in the extra hours when it's needed. And the reality is even though I'd love to believe it, I'm not sure that jobs exist which are strictly 9 to 5, and yet would, you know, provide all of the challenges that I enjoy. I think it just goes with the territory. So I think the thing that's really needed is an employer that actually gets that trade-off, doesn't take you for granted, or doesn't take your sacrifices for granted, and is actually really proactive in giving that time back when they can, right? So that's my sense on whether that, you know, unicorn of 9 to 5, you know, challenging, interesting role exists. On a balance perspective, I've learned that it's really important to cut yourself some slack every now and then, right? It's just impossible to do everything perfectly, you know. So if you get to the end of the week and the laundry isn't done, you know, that's not a problem, you know, as long as I'm staying connected to the people that I love, and actually just trying to make sure that wherever possible I prioritize the things that are important to them, then everything else is secondary. But I don't always get it right though, Caitlin. Absolutely not.
Jude, you and I both. I firmly believe that chicken nuggets are nutritious. I still hold firm to that belief. And I think what we share is this great understanding that with challenge comes growth. And for me, I never have good balance, as it's suggested here in the question. I sometimes have enormous imbalance, but I also have great joy, and you aspire to exactly the same things, that you know what's right for the client as it's demanded, and you somehow also always know what's right for your real life, i.e. your home life. So you have my great admiration, Jude.
Thank you. It doesn't have to be balanced. It doesn't have to be balanced daily, in so much the fact that that's that concept of 9 to 5. As long as it comes out balance over a month or over a year, that's still balance for me.
I agree. So, Jude, the next question is a little easier, you'll be pleased to know, and it's all about remote working. I'm wondering whether we might have written this at the start of COVID-19, but it's a question relating to your work office desk setup. I currently have some Mortine beside me. I also have my dog sitting at my feet. The question here is, how is your work set up? Is it organised or chaos? Do you have any top tips that you want to share, Jude, in this forum?
Well, firstly, can I just congratulate you on your beautiful ceiling, Caitlin, behind you? So it looks like you have a beautiful office set up at home with a chandelier and a beautiful ceiling.
With a couple of flies that hover around uninvited.
Yeah, the uninvited guests of COVID, I think, have been the thing that have given me the most joy, right? The chaos that, that happens when kids come back from school, or the cat starts begging for food halfway through a meeting. And I think the most beautiful thing about COVID has been the fact that it has humanized all of us, even in the business world. No one can pretend now that these things don't exist. And in fact, it's my favorite part of meetings, right? When kids crash meetings, or, pets crash the calls, it just reminds us all that we're human, and what's important. So my desk is, I would say, it was okay. At the start of the pandemic, I was at the dining table and my husband was at the main desk, and he knew more about my job than I did. And his colleagues, could hear me talking and would often ask me for advice and vice versa, and it just didn't work. So carving out a spot in a separate room, and now I'm all set up. From a top tip perspective, you need three things: a good chair, a deep desk, and a secondary monitor. That's it, right? Like,
Amazing. Amazing. And strong coffee, Jude? Strong coffee.
yes.
Strong
Yes.
coffee.
2 strong coffees in the morning, back to back.
Back to back. So the next question is, what does success mean to you personally?
Working with good people, doing good work, and having a good life with my family and friends, and eating good food. I know that was a short answer. Is that enough?
Brilliant. Truly brilliant. And there's my dog just joining in, chiming in, just to confirm that that was an excellent answer.
Thank you.
Oh, he's sneezing, in fact. Thank you, Tessa. So, Jude, the next question is, you've time travelled back to your 10-year-old self. What advice would you give?
Putting aside the advice around never wearing blue eyeshadow, I'd probably say, really, the secret to happiness is doing what you love. You've heard people say, should you work on your weaknesses or focus on your strengths? Really, life's too short to spend all your time focusing on the stuff you can't do. My suggestion would be focus on what you love, focus on your strengths. It's much more rewarding. Yes, you also need to be self-aware enough to know that you have weaknesses, right? And your blind spots. Just be aware of them and work around them. Hire people that are better at that stuff than you, and really it's okay not to be perfect, as long as you're good at some things. And those are things generally that you love doing.
Jude, I love that, because that's what I see in you, that you are genuinely loving what you're doing, which is obviously why you're so great at it.
Thanks,
I
Kate.
have a special 11th question that Katie's listed here. Katie's our colleague who prepares this. Oh, hang on one sec, Jude. I'm just going to put myself on mute so that I can move my large Labrador out of the room.
I want to see your large Labrador, Caitlin.
She's fighting with the puppy. Hang on. So, Jude, the final question is, on International Women's Day, our team is going to do a shine out for all the women that have inspired them. And it could be your neighbour, it could be your barista, it could be an academic, it could be someone in business. When you think about women that have inspired you, you don't have to name them because that might be quite a private intention, but what is it about one of the women in your life that has driven you or inspired you as you proceed through the daily experience of working here at ADAPTOVATE?
Okay, that's a question that I'd love to have a really smart, educated answer to, with some obscure academic that everyone would be super impressed by. It's actually not. And it's going to sound really cheesy, but my female inspiration has to be my mum. You know, she's a beautiful person, overcome some adversity in her life, but you know, just keeps her focus on the people that she cares about, is always willing, even at her age. She's going back to, she did a PhD at 70. You know, so she's always looking for new things, climbs into topics like world peace and sustainability with gusto. And no, I find her a very big inspiration.
Jude, your mum is amazing.
Yeah, she is.
And she must feel nothing but pride. And I'm thrilled that that was an unscripted question, because it was even better in your response to hear that affection just shine through. And I too think on the 8th of March, I can only write about mum. And I just think she's done so many things that I'll never do. And I've had so many extraordinary opportunities, but in her own way, mum has just had to forge a path that would be beyond me. And when I hear about your mum studying at 70, I find myself thinking, let's do that. Let's still be talking at 70 when we're studying.
Yeah, I might take up Python or a data language when I'm 70. I think that would be cool.
That would be so cool. I did fail a few subjects at uni, so maybe I mightn't take up Python, but I'll come to the same uni and study something instead.
I think that's a great. And just one last comment on my mum. Yes, she's an inspiration for other reasons, but she also put up with me in my teenage years. So
She deserves a medal.
she deserves a medal. She deserves two.
Jude, thank you. I have loved our backstory conversation, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to edit much of this for Worth, but gosh, I've learned so much and I've loved every second of it. So thank you so much for your time. It's a joy to be with you, and it's a joy for us to all learn more about the people behind the transformations here at ADAPTOVATE, who work so hard and do so much to inspire so many in such a privileged position as ours. So thanks again, Jude. It was a real thrill to be joined by you today.
Thanks, Caitlin. It was a real pleasure to be here, as always. Now show me the puppy.